All right, now one thing that's put you in the spotlight is your own whistleblowing activity, so to speak. There's been the National Feedlot scandal, there's been your allegations that the Prime Minister's office paid for Najib's daughter's wedding. Now, where do you get all this information?
The rule of thumb is very simple. You start small, you have to verify everything is all in order and can stand the scrutiny. And usually we would go with whatever we have, knowing that once people are confident that it's an issue that will pick up, more information will come and more whistleblowers will come forward. So usually we get the information from one or two whistleblowers, or in the case of NFC, we actually got it from Auditor's General report. The rest are documents that can be sourced publicly, either internet or government departments or even National Archive. But then again, once you start building the focus and scrutiny on a particular issue, there will be enough concerned people who will come anonymously to provide information either detrimental to the corrupt act or that is very pertinent to the whole issue. So it's after one or two, you kind of develop that discipline and you know enough that if you keep your focus on a particular issue, there will be people who come forward.
Okay. Now, not everyone agrees with your method of whistleblowing. One of them is Pandan MP Ong Tee Keat, and we'd just like to show you a clip.
Well, I can see that when you talk about Mr. Rafizi Ramli, of course, well, his strategy or perhaps his approach might not be the same as mine. Because in my case, you must understand that the issue proper that I expose or I chose to expose is from within. It's not that I resort to finger pointing.
Are you saying as opposed to Rafizi?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because it's not that I was there to pinpoint at others' fault or others' shortcomings or others' scandals, but rather I was doing my own house cleaning when I served as the minister.
Okay. So you just saw that clip there. And okay, basically the distinction he's making is that he doesn't just finger point and he looks within internally in his party. Now, what's your response to that?
No, I don't think you can actually categorize corruption. I mean, corruption is corruption. He was in a position to discover it internally because he was a sitting cabinet minister, and it's good. And I think we should give all due respect to him for doing that. Likewise, I think there are different circumstances, and it is as equally difficult, I suppose, to bring about corruption accusations when you are not privy to all the documents.
But would you be as willing to expose something within your own party?
Yeah, definitely. I think I said that all along to everyone. You know, it's not actually so much about whether it's internal, whether it's within our party or outside. It is about anyone who wants to whistleblow must bring me enough document for me to begin with, because I don't have all the leisure and resources to go around doing private investigation. I usually start with a document from which I could work on that really pinpoint to a corruption. For the time being, for the last 2 years, in spite of all invitation, I have not had a single documents being brought from the opposite of the fence for me to work on. So I don't think it's so much about exposing internal corruption or external corruption. I think corruption is corruption. If anyone comes to us with a document that really proves that wrongdoing has taken place, and we will go through the same process, and I think we will expose just like anyone else, because my integrity and I think the party's image is a lot more important than anyone else and anything else.
What about accusations that, you know, doing it just for the sake of politically discrediting someone? I was at the trial with Sharizad, and she said that you orchestrated a hate campaign against her and you were malicious in your intentions. What's your response to that kind of sentiment?
We ask questions. You see, and it's the job of politicians to ask questions. The difference is that from Datuk Sri Shahrizad's perspective, I suppose she felt that being a minister, she was not, it's not her obligation to be frank to the public. Then I think it's a question of a different standard of perspectives. I feel that politicians have to be whiter than white, and I would expect everyone to scrutinize every single thing that I do, whatever my family does, how much money I have. So we do the same thing, and if you attain that kind of standards of political accountability to the public, then it is the duty of everyone, whether they are politicians, public officials, even the public, to ask the same question that I asked. I asked the questions, the answers were not forthcoming, so we had to keep asking until such a point that the government and she herself responded.
Okay, now there is a fundamental issue with politicians. You run a national oversight and whistleblower center, and how does a politician call out other politicians? I mean, like, shouldn't politics be removed from this thing? Shouldn't we be a third party or an objective observer as opposed to someone who has a political affiliation? Everything you do, people will question and say, "Oh no, he's just doing it because he wants to discredit a BN leader." How does that work?
Ideally, yes, I agree with you. Ideally, any oversight or whistleblowing organization should be seen as being objective and at least non-partisan in nature, and it does make it quite difficult, me being a party official. But there's a slight different circumstances, at least for the time being, because I think the public have full confidence that if there is a misappropriation of public fund that take place in Pakatan Rakyat's government, SPRM, MACC will basically swarm the office immediately and do full-fledged investigation. The worry is that should the same thing happen with Barisan Nasional's governments or federal government or any GLCs related to Barisan Nasional, the same treatment and scrutiny is not given, or at least that's the perception of the public. So there is a skewed balance that perhaps whatever the independent, so to speak, oversight organization that we have, that we should focus a bit more to the federal government, number one, because perhaps they don't get the same scrutiny from MACC or even cases that have been opened. I mean, all these cases have met moot results so far. And more importantly as well, the quantum of amount and public interest involved with federal government and federal agencies are a lot larger than what we are talking about in Pakatan State. So in terms of circumstances, I think that's why the public tolerates myself as a politician for the time being.
But you said you would be stepping out from that role at some point, right?
I have no plan whatsoever to do it much longer than necessary. And the moment SPRM is seen to be independent and people have full confidence in the ability of SPRM to scrutinize everyone equally and fairly, I don't think there is a need. And in fact, it is morally wrong for a partisan politician to hate an organization like now, which I hope I can move on very quickly.
All right. Well, for now, just what exposes can we expect, and then until you step down, what else are we expecting from Rafizi Ramli?
You see, because we have very limited resources, there's only about 2 or 3, and the rest are volunteers. We have files and files of people coming with all sorts of things, but I have not been able to really go through in detail and start. So I don't think there's much coming. Maybe after election, when my focus is back, depending on what's the outcome of the election. So there's not much. I don't think if BN can sleep well, I don't think there's a lot of expose during the election, and I don't think we plan to do that anyway.
Okay, well, we'll just take a quick break and we'll be back later and talk a bit more about Rafizi in Pandan and take some questions from you, actually, from Facebook.